Now that OP05 is released in the West, I'll be making an updated video on my Donquixote Rosinante decklist. In this video, I'll be sharing with you my decklist, the strategy of the deck, matchups, and tips on piloting the deck. I also intend to release an OP06 build for Corazon in the future, so if you're interested in that, you should consider subscribing. And with that, let's get into the video, but first let's hear a word from our sponsor. This video is sponsored by Grim Arts. They are an online store that sells custom playmat and sleeves for the One Piece franchise. They have generously sent me 2 of their playmats and a pack of sleeves. First one is a film red theme playmat, and the other one is of all the waifus from One Piece. The playmats includes memorable scenes from both the manga and anime. You can choose if you want a stitch aging for the playmat or a regular one. You can also pick if you want zones on your playmat or not, depending on the design. The image used has a sharp quality and the mat has a great feel and of a good size. Their custom sleeves also has a fantastic design and it feels great to play with them, and I will definitely be using this pack for my Nami deck. They also take in commissions if you're interested to have your own design on your playmat and sleeves. So once again, thank you Grim Arts for sponsoring this video, and do check out grimarts.net if you are looking to upgrade your TCG drip. Let's start off with the deck list. On screen you see both of the lists that I use in my championship events. So on the left we have the 1v1 deck list, and on the right is the 3v3 deck list. And between these two, I prefer the one on the right, the 3v3 list, better. Also, if you haven't watched my championship review video, you can watch it here. I've linked it in the description. Also, I had less than 10 hours of playtest as I decided to bring Corazon a few days prior to the event. Okay, so firstly I'll talk about my card choices, then I'll share with you an updated list. The difference between the two lists is just a couple of cards, but these couple of changes did change the feel to the deck. So firstly we have Yamato. It is a really good card going into the yellow matchup, and I've won many games against Katakuri and Enel where the banish came in real clutch. However, you already have a good matchup against yellow, so Yamato isn't really needed here. Against Sakazuki and red decks, Yamato is a dead card to have as it can be easily removed. She is also not searchable by both engines, which is the Baby 5 and Bonnie. However, you can still include her in your deck, but for now I don't like Yamato and wouldn't include her in this deck. Next is 5 cost Law. Having Bonnie to search him is good, but after many games I realized that Law is always stuck in my hand, and I've lost games where if Law had a 1k counter I would have survived and won. You can play Law if you like, but personally I will cut it from the list. Reason being is really awkward to play him mid game and even in the late game. Next is 7 cost Doffy. It is in the deck as it gives you the tempo play option to slow down the game. It is also searchable by Baby 5, and in OP05 the relevant 7 cost characters are 7 cost Luffy, 7 cost Kid, and even maybe 6 cost Tetch. And another problem that I have with this card is it doesn't have a counter similar to Law. So this deck is already running a lot of blank counters if you include Law, so I don't really like 7 cost Doffy in this deck. 2 cost Corazon is really good as it helps to protect your cards from KO effects on your rested characters, and it can also act as a blocker. Its main protect targets are your Sugar, Searchers, and 8 cost Kid from both attacks and KO effects. In day 1 I didn't include Corazon, but after getting hit by a lot of Otama Jet Pistol combo, I decided to include Corazon in my 3v3 list the next day. 5 cost X Drake is also good as this deck usually rests a lot using Sugar's effect and has a good on play effect to KO the opponent's character. It targets 4 cost or lower character that are rested, which usually you will target the 4 cost 6k vanilla in Purple Luffy, green film cards such as Brooks, Nami and Zoro, and it can even KO Rob Lucci and a rested Rebecca. The 0 cost event is a really good card as it is also searchable by Baby 5 and also help to manage your hand size by trashing a card for its cost to reduce your card to down to 6 or lesser, or even get rid of your additional 8 cost Kid or even Doflamingo if you don't need it. So after taking all this into consideration and playtesting with the deck again, this will be my final list. So I'll be playing 4 Baby 5, another 4 Baby 5 which is a searcher. I'm playing 2 Capone Beige as a blocker, 4 Jory Bonnie, 4 Killer, 4 Sugar, 4 Corazon, 4 Scratchman Apu, 4 3 cost Doflamingo, 2 Violet, 2 X Drake, 3 8 cost Kid, 4 10 cost Doffy, 2 Punk Gibson and 3 Red Rock. So as you can tell from the deck list, it's really defensive, and the strategy here is to protect yourself from taking as much damage until you can play down your 8 cost kit, and then from there that's where you start counter attacking by playing your 10 cost Doffy and even more 8 cost kit. The deck's main strategy is to control the opponent, and at some point you might want to starve the opponent from getting resources. You also want to find Baby 5 and Sugar in the early game, then control their board and start searching for a 10 cost Doffy as soon as possible. Then you want to play down your 8 cost kit followed by locking them up with 10 cost Doffy. In my opinion, 8 cost kit is really good in the OP05 format, as there isn't much threat to it outside of Sakazuki and maybe an Otama Jet pistol combo, which I have included the 2 cost Corazon to protect your characters from that combo. Also, Corazon is the best leader to pair with 8 cost kit, as if you run out of blockers, you can still block an opponent's attack into your 8 cost kit using your leader. A combo with the deck is you can bait and force the opponent to try to get rid of your 8 cost kit, only for you to play down a 10 cost Doffy the following turn. So I would say the key cards to this deck will definitely have to be your Sugar, your 8 cost kit and your 10 cost Doffy. Next, I'll be talking about the matchups, more specifically on the meta decks. Against Purple Luffy, if you can survive the first few turns and manage to play safely your 8 cost kit with 2 to 3 life left, that game is usually yours to take. Purple Luffy don't have the ability to get rid of 8 cost kit easily other than attacking into it. But as we know, Luffy can get really aggressive, and if they go on curve, you'll definitely lose. I would rate this matchup 40-60 to Luffy's favor. Against Sakazuki, it is a terrible matchup. They can lower the cost of everything in your deck and bottom deck or KO your characters. So the matchup would be 30-70 to Sakazuki's favor. Next is Red Purple Law. It is also a tough matchup as most of your stuff has low attack, and with cards like Gordon, Gamma Knife and Fireface, they can easily get rid of your threats by reducing your character's attack and bottom decking them. So this matchup is also 30-70 to Law's favor. Next will be the yellow decks, Anal and Katakuri. I've grouped them up together. So this deck is supposed to have a good matchup against both decks, as once you play down 8 cost kit, you'll be in a good position, and they will have difficulties clearing it. Unless they high roll or play multiple 10 cost Big Mums, you'll probably lose, but other than that, you should have a strong matchup against any yellow decks. So the matchup will be 70-30 to Corazon's favor. For decks like Zoro, Bello Betty and Red Green Law, these are winnable, and I would say it's 50-50 matchup, but you need to starve them and be careful of the Otama Jet pistol combo. Aside to those decks, against every other deck I would say it's 50-50. Lastly would be the tech cards that you can potentially play in this deck. Firstly, if you're playing X Drake and 5 cost Law, you can consider playing 8 cost Corazon. It cheats out a character on board and protect your 5 cost character from KO effects. You can also try playing 10 cost Kaido to either draw 4 cards or to gain tempo. Personally, I think either of the Kaido is playable in the deck as a boss character. Next are event cards like Punk Gibson for defense and resting, 3000 Worlds and Red Rock for removals. So these are all the cards that you can include in your Corazon deck. To summarize, Corazon is a really strong and cool leader with a unique effect, but requires a lot of thinking at the same time. You need to know when to block with the leader's effect, and knowing when to protect what character. That is really crucial. Also, knowing when to starve or attack the opponent may affect whether you win or lose with this deck. This deck has a tough matchup against the more popular decks like Sakazuki, Red Purple Law and maybe even Purple Luffy. Although they are tough, they are not unwinnable. So definitely practice a lot with this deck, and don't be like me, bringing a deck without enough testing into a big tournament. If you've enjoyed this video, drop a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Let me know in the comments what you think of Corazon and if you'll be piloting him yourself. Also follow me on Twitter or X for more One Piece TCG content. And as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.